Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them, and I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plots, analysis, and character bios for this issue. We are continuing our run of Excalibur, and we're looking at Excalibur number 3 from 1988. I do have a playlist that started with the Excalibur special, and then I have issues 1 and 2 in there as well. And so Excalibur was Chris Claremont's way of still playing with Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, and Phoenix, Rachel Summers, having them join Captain Britain and Megan out in England. And now we got the Juggernaut, Captain Britain versus the Juggernaut, and and there's more where that comes from as the Juggernaut walks over him. Alan Davis and Paul Neary do the cover. I've always thought this cover was pretty funny, and so we start here with Moving Day, and we have our cast of I almost said cast of characters. Our credits here: Chris Claremont, writer; Alan Davis, penciler; and Paul Neary, inker. I also have an X Universe playlist where I put everything in there. So I got X Men, New Mutants, X Factor, Wolverine. Everything goes in there in reading order. And so we start out with Vixen here and her henchmen and says, "Come on, we're on a tight schedule." And they're breaking into this facility up here, a maximum security prison called Crossmore. And they go in and they go to free someone, but that someone isn't there. Turns out it was a trap. And Vixen is not happy. They turn off the lights. So they're looking for room to room. Turns out there's a stasis cage that has the Juggernaut in there. And it is a cage that, no, as hard as he tries to get out, it fights back. So it's one of the few things that can contain the Juggernaut. And so Vixen says, "Hey, how about a quid pro quo? I let you out, you get us out of here." And so here comes the army, and they think they're going to deal with just Vixen and her cronies. But here comes the Juggernaut, which of course Vixen and her people escape, as well as do all the other inmates there. You can see Juggernaut quickly dispatching of this tank and stuff. So he's like, "You can't stop me with guns, tanks, nothing." And he gets hit here by Captain Britain. Love the little pow here. And he says, "Nice punch, cute suit. You the local good guy?" And he's like, "I'm Captain Britain." "Ah, figures. Pleased to meet ya." And he's like, "This is as far as you go, Juggernaut." And so we all of a sudden get Captain Britain hit. Nothing happens. Suddenly, pow! And Juggernaut just shoves him far. And Captain Britain's like, "I'm dealing with Juggernaut. I don't need help." And so he says, "Use your psi powers to track the fugitives so the rest of Excalibur can recapture them." Of course, Kitty is not impressed and just says, "Men, stubborn as they are stupid." And so she's here waiting for this car. And here are the inmates here. And of course, the car is going to run her over, but she phases. That's her new natural ability. And then she phases the car so that the men go through the vehicle. They try to shoot her, but of course, excuse me, I had to yawn and couldn't pause the video. It is kind of late where I'm doing this. And anyway, so Lockheed uses his fire. He is a dragon, and so they all give up. Here, she tells Nightcrawler that Kitty handled this a lot quicker than he is. and asks if he is having trouble. Of course, he's not. He's playing with his food here, as he takes care of everybody all by himself, as kind of using them too. So Nightcrawler wins here, and everybody's defeated. Megan catches everybody. Of course, there's the Juggernaut beating up on Captain Britain. Megan doesn't like that, and he grabs her by the hair and pulls her. And she's like, nobody laughs at me or hurts my sweetheart. Suddenly, she starts drawing some power and becomes big. And even here, he says, growing to Juggernaut's size and power. And so they're about to fight, but Kitty stops her and phases through her. And of course, he doesn't have his helmet. And she's like, hi, I'm Phoenix. Guess what I do? And he's like, oh no. And she's like, oh yes. Because she's a telepath, and Juggernaut is immune to telepathy. And quickly, these two start making out. Are you all right? Always in your arms. Oh my goodness gracious. And so the Juggernaut is down. Now we get an interlude like we've had. This weird person is here, and suddenly Widget comes through, bites this, and he's going to create a portal, and he's going to go into the portal where he encounters Saturn 9. And Saturn 9 is someone from the Captain Britain series from way back in, oh my goodness, Marvel UK. So Chris Claremont is utilizing a lot of that stuff for Captain Britain here. Here we have everybody kind of moving into the lighthouse here, where Captain Britain resides, and here they're bringing all the stuff in here. And they're bringing through, and you can see the fragile, but he doesn't notice, and he sets this box in there, which crushes everything. And of course, it was the software that Kitty had written with Doug Ramsey. And he's like, I'll buy a replacement. He's like, thanks, appreciate it, good night. And so they said it's only a summer shower, it'll be over before you know it. And of course, that was Tuesday, and so now it's Friday. Meanwhile, Nightcrawler's just bouncing around, and he's thinking that it was a mistake to maybe move there. Of course, Captain Britain is like, oh my god, all this sound, and you can see the whiskey here. And he's going to use the bathroom. There's only one bathroom, and Kitty has it here. And he's like, you slept through your turn. And so it's her turn. And suddenly there's a fire here. And so he gets rid of the liquor, which is what caught on fire. And I don't think that we explain how these the whiskey got on fire. They just in there. And of course, they threw away the whiskey, and everybody tells him, you're drinking too much. And he's like, I can handle it. And Megan's like, it just hurts to see so you turn to the bottles instead of me. And of course, Captain Britain's like, you're meddling. You don't have a right. And he leaves here. And of course, everybody, she kind of goes back. Megan is in his herself. She's a shapeshifter. She doesn't look all pretty. She actually looks, or I mean, I'm sure she's pretty, but she is kind of like a fairy, and she just takes the shape of whatever it is that the person perceives is beautiful or whatever. So that's how she's with Captain Britain here. And so of course Nightcrawler's like, if he can't see how beautiful you are, then he's, blind and everything. So all right. And now it looks like the sun is out, and so Rachel's gonna go out, and Kitty's gonna set up the computer, and sets it all up, plugs it in, and she's like, too bad things can't be like electronics. You plug things in, you turn them on, but then the light goes out. I like the color to show that the power went out. And so they're going to go look for a circuit breaker, and look at this. Suddenly, alien Kitty and you can see two Lokis here speaking. And so this has happened already before. And so in London, he's hanging out with Courtney Ross here, and thinking about the responsibility he has as Captain Britain, and the X-Men, and how he misses his sister, who is Psylocke, and so he thinks she's dead. And so suddenly Rachel uses her telepathy, and she says, "Hey, this is important. There's been another apparition, so he's gonna go investigate." He's like, "They're my responsibility. I'll be in touch." And she's like, "I'll be waiting," because she wants him back. And so he gets here. They explain what happened, and they want to stay there. They in the headquarters. They don't want to leave, and so he's like, "I'll try to make up to you guys if you let me." And so they're all like, "Yep, we're a team and we love each other." And so next, we're gonna set up a two-part story, still crazy after all these years, which features the one of the characters I hate the most, Arcade. Um, but Chris Claremont loves him some Arcade. So we're gonna have Arcade for 2 issues. So, all right, Excalibur #3 by Chris Claremont, Alan Davis, and Paul Neary. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.